It's live time.
Yay! Hi, you guys.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back for another week of the Love and Money Breakthroughs Show. I'm so
Yeah,
excited for our topic today.
me too.
There we go. How to use desire to attract love and money. This is a fun one.
It is. I cannot wait to hear what you're going to say about this, actually, because just so you guys know, we don't talk about this at all before. We just go, hey, let's come up with a topic, and then we dive in with it, which is really cool because I love hearing new ways myself.
Yeah, right. And I like that. I so appreciate how the overlap of love and money is so powerful. And of course I love getting to see you every week. So
Yeah.
that's exciting.
It's also funny to me because this comes up all the time, the whole overlap between love and money. And a lot of people, I kind of get this sense that they don't want to know that sometimes.
Yeah. Oh, say more. I want to hear what you mean by that.
Oh, just like, when people say to me, oh, yeah, I really want to find the one. And I know I have destructive habits or dysfunctional habits, and then there's this like real discomfort with wanting to invest in themselves. So then there's like this, it confronts the money part. So the love part, when it's not happening and it's like, oh, I know there's a problem, oftentimes there can be this natural way. I think we're kind of taught this, like, oh, well, it'll just figure itself out. And then, but if there's a possibility there, which, coaching is, especially when there's, a system, the super love system, and your systems for money, it's like, well, okay, it's here. And then the next level is being confronted with some of the scarcity that comes with the money part of it. And it's really the exact thing that's keeping love from being able to be received or
totally. Well, yes. And I think you're right. The desire. Okay. So then relating it to desire today makes me think when you say that, it's like people are afraid to desire what they really, really want in love and money in similar ways that are very overlapping, because it's like, oh, well, in the past, I've only gotten this. So I'm going to limit my desire based on what I've had in the past and to what I think might be possible for me. And then I even think, that question of investing in myself for like a love coach, it'd be like, well, am I going to get the return? Is it going to be worth it? Should I make an investment in myself in this way? Is it embarrassing to make an investment in myself? Should I need to learn from somebody who has a system, or should I just be able to figure this out? Money all the same,
it is. Yeah. And it's funny because it can be so sneaky. I mean, I remember having one of my first money breakthroughs was around buying a house. And this was when I was in my late 20s. And I had this like story that, one day I'll buy a house maybe, but it didn't occur to me that I could learn about that and figure it out. And that there are all these ways to leverage money. And, but it wasn't even in my world until a friend my same age bought a house. And I was like,
oh, wait, you can do that?
And she told me how she did it. And before that, I would have been like, oh, you had like hundreds of thousands of dollars laying around. Like, and it's just learning new things about all of this. And whether it's love or money, there are like structures and things that we can use to create.
Yep. Yeah. Yes. I have so many thoughts going through my head as you're saying this. I think that it's shifting your mindset in a new direction by expanding your thinking about what's possible based on new information coming in. you know? So it's like when you saw your friend buy the house and you go, oh, that's possible for me too. Like, oh, thank you for showing me that that's possible. I really notice this about money for myself, money mindset, where I'll notice all of a sudden I'll go, oh my God, I think so differently about it now. Like I wouldn't have had that thought a year ago, even sometimes 60 days ago, sometimes last week, you know, I go like, oh my God, I would not have thought about this in this way. And now because I keep up leveling myself and expanding my belief system, I go like, oh, it makes perfect sense that I think about money in this way now. But 5 years ago, it was like a foreign language to me,
Yeah.
you know? And
well,
so, yeah.
You put yourself in different environments too, and you're reading the books and you're exploring. I mean, I think that choice for doing that does tend to expand our worlds. I mean, learning about investing and saving and, you know, Bitcoin and all these. I mean, there's so many things now that are like challenging the way we can think of things. And how many of us, like, so how many people who are listening right now are actually functioning from either one relationship idea of what you can have or can't have in that little world, or even one idea about what you can have when it comes to money. I mean, how many people, I'm just aware of, you know, a lot of times we're kind of locked into what we learned from our parents, or just what kind of maybe passed by us, just, but not from, you know, a choice to like look at greater possibilities. And that really changes things. You are amazing at that. You know, I find that like every time we do sessions together, that I see the edge, like, you know, it's a constant like moving beyond what I'd been even pointing to before. Is just such a cool feeling. It's such a cool feeling to like blow away those glass ceilings.
Oh, it's so good. Well, I mean, it's ever evolving desires, right? Like, I think about, I got to share this because it's so related. Abe and I this weekend, so we went, you know this, but not everyone watching this, we went on a trip and we went to the hot springs and we had like hours and hours and hours of fun conversation because it was just me and him the whole time. We like completely unplugged. I didn't even bring my computer. It was so awesome. I brought my phone. We took a few pictures, like barely any. Yesterday we were like, oh, we should have maybe taken more pictures, but we're always so present in the moment talking to each other. And one of the big conversations that we've had is how so remember when I created my profile for Match, I wrote one, it was like the skeletal one, and it had some pretty good information. And then I was like, help me make it awesome. So you helped me rewrite it. And we wrote it. And then he saw both versions because he saw the first one and then he reached out to me. And then he saw the next version. He was like, oh my God, like this is exactly what I've been wanting. And so it was really cool because this weekend on our trip, he was saying that was just the profile alone and what I said in it helped him see like, oh my God, I've been limiting what I desire. Like he had the thought of like, I didn't even know I could ask for that. Like,
oh my God.
You know, and I thought that was so cool because it's like, you're right. Like why don't we just put ourselves out there and say exactly what we desire in a relationship? And you really helped me refine that and do that so powerfully where it was like, I want this, 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 like, and I just broadcasted it so clearly. And he was like, me, you know, it's like, that's what I want too. And so that desire piece was a place of creation. And it broadcasted so clearly, like, here's who I am, here's what I want. And if you aren't in alignment with this, there's not really even any point in like contacting me because I'm clear about what I want and what I desire. And it's taken me time to figure that out. And I get why it's hard for people to do because it is limited by our past and it's limited by what we think is even possible to create in a relationship, in money.
Exactly. I love that.
So
yeah. Well, and it's the, you know, the unconscious, I think, of dumbing it down. Like, okay, well, if I were to say I wanted someone who's successful and spiritual and who loves animals and has a crazy sense of humor and would wear a disco pantsuit, like all the things I wanted.
Love it.
If you haven't seen that before, it can be easy to go into I guess I need to give up some of these things, so I better dumb this down. But then you're not using the actual, the fuel that is, given to us by the universe to move towards your destiny. So it's almost like, to me, I see the energy of desire coming in as, that is the exact ticket to have what you want. So that's the destiny. And yet, how many times do we let our mind come in and then kind of erode it away? And then we're wondering why we're not actually having the life we want.
Yeah, totally. Well, we didn't even ask for what we wanted. We might not even know what we want. No. So it could start with, we don't know what we want. We don't take the time to figure it out. We are limited by our fears or our beliefs of what's possible. And then we don't even express it to ourselves or other people, and then we go, it's settling. I mean, the opposite of desire and using desire to attract, to me, is settling. And don't beat yourself up. Anyone watching, if you've done this, I've done it. I'm sure Macy's done it at certain times in her life. It's like we settle for what we think is the best we can get in love and money. And I think that it's been so liberating to not do that anymore. Like, it's to the point, I look at even these little things I do. So like, we went out to this brewery and they put us at the weirdest table. And I was like, no, I cannot sit here. Like, I'm going to ask for a different table. Whereas the old versions of me would never do that, because I'd be like, oh, maybe I'm a burden, or maybe they have a system, or I don't know, whatever it is. I'm like, you can never get what you want if you don't ask.
Yeah.
You got to ask, so it's like, I asked, they totally moved us to a fabulous table. It was amazing, and it was like, okay, ask for what you want. Let your desire lead you in a direction. And so desire, to me, has been a really powerful tool. I don't know if I've ever told you this one, Macy. I have like a desire spreadsheet. Have I told you about this? So when I started on this journey of personal growth and development, it was a combination of things I had learned, where I started grappling with goals and thinking, like, goals are interesting because you can trigger really quickly a limited place with goals where you go, like, I'm not sure if it's possible. I think desire, you can do this a little bit too. But the cool thing about desire is if you change in your mind the word goals to desire, I created a spreadsheet and I just started writing down everything I desire. And it was like little things. I tell the story how, like, I hadn't bought new underwear in a really long time because I was like, oh, feed my kids or new underwear, so I'd feed my kids. And so my underwear were like ratty and old and awful. And so on my desire list, like the top of it was like all new bras and underwear, it was just like anything like that. It was like that. It was, I wanted a standing desk with like dual, because I work from home and I wanted all these cool things, and I got all of it. And so it was so fun to write the list and then go back and check everything off as I got it. And then I would up my desire. And I've watched myself over time just have bigger and bigger and bigger desires and play with the fun of using it as an attractive force, because it feels more playful than setting a goal. Setting a goal, I think, in our mind often equates to, I've got to do some work to get there.
Yeah.
Versus desire is like, ooh, I just want this. Let's express that I want it. And so I started just playing with the expression on my spreadsheet. So funny, the practical and the like spiritual, a spreadsheet for desire.
Yeah, no, I think it's really true. And it's cool to pay attention to that, because I have the same sort of relationship with the word goal. It just feels so like business and like old. I don't know. It just is not that fun. Desire is more fun. And, earlier you said, well, a lot of people don't know what they desire. And so what would you say about that? Because I mean, when I hear that, I have had experiences where, like, I am aware of desires I have. Oftentimes, though, it takes something else, like either brainstorming with someone or working with someone, or like, just the things that I typically do, like reading and taking classes and learning, to reveal those kind of next level desires, but I also I practice a lot asking questions about that. Like what else can I ask for that I haven't been willing to ask for before? Those kinds of things where then I'm like in relationship with consciousness to have that show up.
Yeah. And
so what do you say?
Well, I love what you're saying, because to me, what I think you're getting at is that place of contrast, where contrast gives you the desire. So Jerry and Esther Hicks talk about the power of contrast. And it makes me think about like the reason it's so important to hang out with people who are mentors. They might be like colleagues or friends that are just in one area different than you, right? Or they're going to help pull you up in certain areas and help you see each other. Or it's that you hire a coach or a consultant. I mean, I've had massive growth since I've invested in coaching and consulting on all different levels in my life, in my business, because they can help me see bigger versions of myself than I can see for myself. And so it's that contrast point where it's like, oh, I thought that this was like a big stretch to ask for. And now I'm like, oh, they're really helping me up level to like, this is what's possible. And when you know that, then it's this fun exponential growth. So I've really noticed for me, it was like starting small, bras and underwear. Like now to me, that's like funny. I'm like, and I totally get it, because I know that people get in that state, like, oh my God, I just want to buy some new clothes. Then you're like, oh, I want to buy a new car. And then you're like, oh, I want to buy a new house. Oh, now I want to buy whatever it is, like a resort or, I don't know, whatever it is for you. But it's like, it's fun to allow yourself to expand and play with, allowing yourself to just be free to have all those desires, which people can ask you those up-leveling questions. I love that question you said, and I'm not going to rephrase it exactly, or correctly, but the one I use, it'll often say like, what could be even better than this? And one of the questions I still journal about very regularly, I have my clients do this all the time, is if I had $1 billion, what would I do with my time? Because that really lets you have that expansive thinking of like, there's no limits. $1 billion is plenty of passive income a month. I don't need to worry about making money, which means that I can allow myself to expand into like playfulness of like, really, what would I do with my time? So you want to be asking yourself questions that allow you to let go of any of the rules or rigidity or fears or boxes or preconceived notions or stories that we've told ourselves. So anything you can do to get into that state has been really helpful for me, for sure.
Yeah. I think that's huge. And really being willing to kind of dissolve or explode away any of the definitions of things that you have, because as a coaching business, there can be a lot of definitions in that, like, oh, you have to have a signature program, or you have to, work one-on-one to make a lot of money, or there's a lot of things out there that can become some like solidity in your world. So it's really powerful to start questioning all of these things in relationship space too. How many people come to me in their 50s or 60s and they want a person, but they think they can't have it because they don't really want to share their space, or they'd like to have their home and someone else have another home, and like to have some like non-conventional options, but they haven't been willing to voice it because they didn't think they could voice it. And therefore they cut the desire off at the knees. And now it's like, okay, I guess I can't have it.
Totally. Which I laugh because I so get it. I've been there before in my history where you're like, oh, well, I've been able to have this, so I'm just going to ask for this. And it's just a little stretch above what I've had in the past. But then when you really break free, you'll know. I don't know if you've noticed this, but I've really noticed when I truly step into my desire to attract, it's like this feeling of like giddiness, like that's what I really want. Like, oh my God, that would make me jump up and down with joy and excitement and fulfillment and happiness. And it's like it's almost like a niggle, it's like you get this little tickle of excitement where you're like, wouldn't that be awesome? That's where you want to be in desire. Desire is a playful, fun energy. It's not an energy of like, oh, I guess that's all I can get, or any sort of settling energy. So remember, when you want to step into a place of desire, you want it to be generative. It's a creative energy. It's an attractive energy. It's not like a desperation place.
It's light. Yeah. It's light.
Yeah.
inspired. It's, I mean,
Yeah.
whatever you're noticing it is for you, but if it's heavy and feels like a
Yes.
burden, that's not it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's probably, I
Yeah.
am getting a psychic hit on this too, which is like when you're stepping forward and you're acknowledging that and you're willing to go, oh my God, this really is that, and actually be the yes for it rather than the like, but no. And if you can really be willing to be the yes for those things that come in, then it's like the universe takes a huge step forward to you. It's like one big step. So if you're willing to take that step towards, what, yes, this is true for me, and just saying yes to whatever expansive, maybe never even heard of a dream on the planet, that you are supported even greater. And the more you're in that kind of, the more you fall for the limitations and the fears, it's like you're just further away.
Yeah. So I would say the secret we're articulating is the feeling behind it. You'll know if you're in a state of generative, creative, law of attraction type of desire when you feel playful, fun, expansive, like it's such an interesting one, because I've been playing with this a lot lately, where I've been letting myself get bigger and bigger, because I realized, like, God, Amanda, you've been playing kind of small, and I was like, writing in my journal, like, it's time to play big. Like, how big can you play? What would the biggest version of my business look like? What would the biggest version of me look like in money making? What are the biggest desires I truly have? And if I could just release all the fear, any uncertainty, any doubt. And I want everyone to know here, like, it happens to me, right? Like, it's not like I'm just always on my game and everything's awesome and flowing all the time. Like, I get stuck sometimes. And I definitely, in this desire place, I've had a history of playing small and only limiting it to what I thought was possible. And so as I'm kind of removing the lid of that, it's been so wild to go to have that feeling when I write down a really powerful desire. It's like the feeling I get inside of myself is like, ooh, like a giddy kid almost, like, ooh, wouldn't that be awesome? Wouldn't that be amazing? Like, oh my God, how awesome would that be? That's to me the feeling of desire.
Yeah. But my point is that you are saying yes to that.
Yeah.
You are letting that most powerful part of you take a stand for that, because there is, the fear and the doubt that can come in. And if you, get seduced by it and fall for it, then you're not in that anymore.
Yeah.
So there is kind of an action there. There is like a discipline in that part, and that's what allows some people to go big and have phenomenal relationships and create their life in amazing ways, and other people to sort of feel like they're not going anywhere. So I mean, that may sound a little harsh, but it's true. It takes definitely a little extra, and that's the part that I guess what I love about this conversation is it's reminding people that desire is a, potent force for, your process and it's not just like a wishy, dreamy fantasy thing. Like, use it.
Yeah. Oh, it's a super powerful tool. Yeah. You're making me think of, in my history, when I've had moments of desire, like, you could be on the floor crying and have a moment of desire, so maybe it's making me question what I was just saying, where it's like, you're in that energy of desire when you're having like this playful, expansive, like, because I think when I changed my whole reality in big ways, it was the moment of desire of like, I'm so freaking tired of having broken relationships and no money. I'm willing to do whatever it takes to shift in a new direction. So if you articulated that desire, it would be the desire to have a loving relationship and more money in the bank. That was the desire. And that it was incredibly generative of law of attraction and shifting my whole life in a completely different direction. And so it's like desire, is the starting point and initiation of moving into action, like you're saying, in a totally different direction.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Sometimes a totally different direction. It definitely a more expansive direction, let's say.
It's a choice for that, because people can have desire and not choose it. So
true. Yes. What that's interesting. What do you think? Yeah. I mean, we've talked about fears.
I mean, I think that's the yes, I think that
so it's say yes to your desires
through, you crying on the floor and realizing like, I cannot take this anymore. I imagine that it still breaks through to a pretty like powerful energy of possibility that does have a lightness to it. So I think that, there is that, and, how you get there.
like, totally.
And, I've definitely also had that like complete face plan. Is like, okay, I'm really tired of this. So what else can I choose right now that's actually more aligned with, what the universe or the cosmos or, consciousness is inviting me to.
Yeah. Yeah. I love the way you said that. And I do think sometimes it takes a face plant to go, I desire something different than this.
I think
it's like a surrender. Like I surrender to the possibility of there being something different than this because I don't want to do this anymore.
Well, and I also don't like, in my world, I'm asking to have my awareness and not require a face plant. Like, when I had the major zeroing out face plant in like 2005 and 6, like my whole life, just kind of everything fell apart. And so, but this is an important tip though, because I think there's a lot of people out there who associate like that change with needing it to have this like charge to it. It's like, you can just make a choice to have something different without, needing to have this abusive relationship or a problem. And if it has happened in the past, it's also not to make yourself wrong, but it is kind of powerful. So I know we have to go pretty soon.
I know. I want to keep talking forever. One thing I want to point out that you just said that I think is so important. Hi, Sandra. Thanks for being here. It's good to see you. Is that as you use these tools more that you and I talk about every week and really dive into inner development, let's say, you won't have to do face plants in the same way. Like I don't face plant anymore. Now it's like, oh, I can recognize things more quickly and use my tools to shift versus like having to have a knockdown, like total breakdown, meltdown face plant, because now I can detect the symptoms of that more quickly. And so, I want everyone to be encouraged that the face plant can be the most beautiful wake-up call ever. And then you start in a new direction and then you go, oh, now I'm gathering tools to shift more quickly, which makes it a lot easier.
Yeah. I mean, you're not the person you were before. So
totally.
I think there's a lot of people out there that may not be making choices because they're afraid they may face plant against a relationship, maybe with starting a new endeavor if it didn't work before. Like, okay, well, guess what? You know a lot more than you did before. Your awareness is greater. And
totally. Yes. Okay. I have to run early today, so we're going to say bye to everyone. Definitely reach out to both of us. You'll see in the stream where to get together with us. And next week we're going to be off for a U.S. holiday, and then we'll be back the following week. So thanks.
Bye, everyone.
Being here, everyone. Bye.